Durant pull-up jumper off the rim and in! Oh! And the Thunder win! All right, come on, let's sing the Thunder song.
Wait.
When you hear the sound of thunder, don't you get too scared. Just grab your Thunder buddy and say these magic words.
Hello, and welcome to the first Thunder Rumblings podcast. I'm Anthony Slater, Thunder beat writer here with Darnell Mayberry, also Thunder beat writer. This is the Thunder Buddies for life, right here, right, Darnell?
Thunder Buddies for life. That's it.
There you go. Just so you know, I mean, it's not because we're Thunder fans. We're not. We cover the team, but it's more of an ode to Ted, the pretty hilarious movie that I would suggest you being at least 18 or so to see. But
definitely a classic.
Yeah. Darnell, Thunder just got back from an overseas trip. I believe they landed this morning in Oklahoma City. What was the thing that stood out to you most on the trip?
Well, I like the fact that Kevin Durant didn't try to do too much. You know, I mean, there was a sense that without Russell Westbrook, he was going to try to take on the scoring load and really just be the guy. But instead, we saw him defer and really get his teammates involved. He had 12 assists against Philly. Now, granted, it's Philly. Yeah. And, you know, before that, it was Fenerbahce. You know?
I got a quick question. Who do you think is better, Fenerbahce or Philadelphia?
It might be Fenerbahce. And they had the 1 point guard guy.
Yeah.
I can't remember his name, but he's better than Michael Carter-Williams.
At this point, yeah.
So, no, it was two rum-dum teams, but I really liked the way Kevin Durant came out. He was under control. He played within himself. He didn't try to do too much. And I think if he plays like that throughout the season, it's going to make everyone else a threat, and it's going to make the Thunder even better.
I got a quick question. Will Jeremy Lamb ever hit a three-pointer in his life again?
No.
It
doesn't look like it.
Well, he hit rim. He airballed about three of them.
He just needs to hit the rim. Get it up on the rim. Give yourself a chance. But I think he'll be fine. I tweeted this during the second game against Philly. He's a shooter. I mean, if nothing else, we know the guy can shoot. And I think people are almost starting to give up on him after 2 preseason games. Like, slow down, people. Let's give him a chance. Let's see what – you remember Kevin Martin last year? He was terrible at times on the road, but at home he was awesome for the most part. Jeremy Lamb might be the same way. He's a young guy, second-year player in the league. So it could be that he's just better at home than he is on the road. Now, we hope not, because you don't want that. You want consistent players. But, let's see what he has Tuesday against Denver in that home preseason opener.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, 0-8 yesterday, which, I mean, it was kind of a brutal shooting performance. That's obviously not who he is. But at the same time, I think there may be this perception, okay, I mean, he comes in as a sharp shooter, but he's not going to suddenly just be 45, 50% from three automatic.
Right.
I mean, you got to go through growing pains with him. The thing that really surprised me about Lamb was his defense. I mean, he played well. I mean, that block shot, I think he had 4 blocks in 2 games, which it's about Kevin Martin's career numbers, his 4 blocks. But, I mean, I thought he performed well.
Yeah, I agree with you. The defense, that was the biggest question mark on him coming into this season. And we saw that he's engaged defensively. He's up and in his man on the ball. He's got a great awareness off the ball, and his long arms, I mean, he's going to get in the passing lanes. So I think as long as you're seeing signs of growth on that end of the floor, you know that it's only a matter of time before his shot comes around. I don't worry about his shot.
Yeah, 9-foot wingspans do help on defense. All right, I want to do some over-unders with you. Steven Adams, over or under 41 meaningful appearances this year? Appearances where, he's coming in the second quarter.
41?
41.
Meaningful?
Did you see him in the first 2 preseason games?
Did you just say preseason? I just want to make sure. Oh, it's preseason.
Yeah.
41.
Maybe I got a little too hyped off players real quick, but, I mean, he looked like their most effective offensive center.
Let me say this, Anthony. You might be able to lower that number to 4.
Really?
Over under 4 meaningful games. Have you seen Scott Brooks' coaching philosophy with young players? He doesn't play them. I screamed at him for 3 years on why he wasn't playing James Harden more. People laughed at me. I always said James Harden should have been a starter. Now look at James Harden. Steven Adams is not going to see the light of day in meaningful games this season.
So you say over 41 meaningful games in Tulsa?
Do they even play 41 games? I don't
think
know
they got
about
the
the
60. But do you think he's going to live in Tulsa this year?
He might stick with the Thunder, but I don't think he's going to play over Hasheem Thabeet. No.
Okay, down the road, from what you've seen, obviously you're right. It's 2 preseason games. That's all it was. 2 years from now, is he the starting center?
Yes. I think he's got tremendous upside. If you look at him, and I wrote about this in my observations off the Philly game. He's got the athleticism, he's got the energy, he's got the just the hustle and the something about him is just different. Like he's got just an energy level that you really haven't seen
Not at that
in
position.
the Thunder's franchise history at that position. So I like him. It takes young guys a long time, and you can tell that he's still out of position at times. He's got good awareness, but he bites on pump fakes. He gets in foul trouble, turns the ball over, and let's be honest, we haven't seen him go up against an elite post player. Spencer Haas doesn't count as an elite post player.
That 6'7" turkey center doesn't do anything for
No,
you?
he might be better than Spencer Haas. But no, I think he's good. I mean, what do you think? You think he's going to play over Hasheem Thabeet? You don't like what Hasheem Thabeet brought last year?
I mean, maybe you're right. Obviously, you've been around the team longer than me with the Scott Brooks philosophy.
Yeah.
I think he's got obviously a higher ceiling, and at this point, I think he may give the team a more diverse offensive game than Thabeet, especially early in the season without Durant, when you kind of need maybe a little bit more of an offensive center out there. I mean, he's catching and finishing even in 2 games more than I've probably seen Perkins in 2-3 years.
Yeah.
But I mean, we'll see. It'll be interesting to follow and see how they kind of handle him.
So let's get you on the record here. Over, under 41 meaningful games for Steven Adams.
Jeez, I would have said over coming into the podcast with you're saying 4.
Don't let me sway you.
I'll go 35 by midseason. I think he may force his way into some minutes.
Interesting. We'll see.
Yeah, I may be way wrong in that, but so might you. Over under Kevin Durant assists 5.5. Just for kind of reference, his career high is 4.6, and that was last year.
And you're saying 5.5 over under this season?
Yeah, and the reason I bring that up is because on the trip, obviously, he had 12 last night.
Yep.
He looks like a very improved kind of playmaker and distributor.
I'll answer it 2 ways. I'll say, without Russell Westbrook for this first 4 to 6 weeks, I'll take the over.
Okay.
When Westbrook gets back, it'll obviously dip. Mm-hmm. Westbrook will have the ball in his hands. So under for the season, over while Russell Westbrook is out. I'll say he'll average 6 assists in the time that Russell Westbrook is sidelined.
Okay, that's fair. That's kind of what I thought. What did Westbrook average last year? Probably around
I think it was 7.5.
Okay.
Around there.
Okay. All right, we'll go. How about
Might have
then?
been 8. I don't want to shortchange Russell. He'll get mad at me.
You probably still think Durant will average a career high then? Yeah, over 4.6.
Yeah, I think so. He'll probably be at the 4.8 mark. I don't see him getting the 5.
He looks smooth with that pocket passes and everything last night. I'm gonna go over 5.5
for the season. Man, 2 preseason games really does something to you.
I know, it's something in the water.
You'll learn.
Something in that overseas water. All right, true false. Daniel Orton makes the roster.
Oh boy. I like Daniel Orton. I like his potential. I like his size. I like his tools on the offensive end. I just don't think it's enough. And I'm going to go false because they got Kendrick Perkins, who they owe a ton of money to. They got Hasheem Thabeet, who they love him or hate him. The Thunder loves him. And Steven Adams, who they just invested a high lottery pick, or a low lottery pick, but a high first-round pick in, and he's got a guaranteed contract. He's going to be the future. So, I just don't see the room on the roster for Daniel Orton.
I agree. It's kind of a numbers game.
Yep.
You're probably not going to keep 4 centers. Like you said, I mean, you got guarantees in Perkins and Adams. Adams is the future. The Beat's kind of the guy I think they're comfortable in the role now until Adams kind of shows enough. So, yeah, I just think he's kind of the odd man out. I will say I do think Orton will find a place somewhere in the league. Hey, maybe throw him on Philly. He might be their best player. But we're killing the Sixers today.
They killed themselves. They stink.
Hey, tanking, right? Andrew Wiggins. But I would assume in the next couple of weeks that Orton, may be the odd man out. All right, another true false. Reggie Jackson will finish higher than Jamal Crawford in the 6th man of the year voting.
Well, true. Of course, he's my preseason pick for 6th man of the year.
I didn't know you were officially on record.
It's official. You asked me for a bold prediction in one of our roundtables recently, and I'm going with Reggie Jackson. I think the guy has what it takes. You saw it in the Philly game. Again, it's Philly. I'm sorry. But 29 points.
Hey, I thought I was the one that took preseason too.
We've seen this out of Reggie Jackson time and time again. I mean, whether it's the D-League, he goes down there and lights it up for a game last year, in one game last year. Summer League this year, he lights it up. In the playoffs, he averages more than 15 points without Russell Westbrook. The guy is a potential star in the making. And I don't hesitate to say that because he has the size, he has the athleticism, and he has the skill set in terms of getting to the basket, finishing, or dishing and making the right plays. It's starting to come together for this guy, and he's only in his third season. I'm really high on Reggie Jackson, as most people already know. I think he's going to win Sixth Man of the Year.
I'm almost maybe not as high on him as you are, but I think he is, in some ways a star in the making, and he's looked great lately. He looked great in the playoffs. He looked great in Summer League. All the signs point to, yes, he could be. I'm not ready to call him Sixth Man of the Year yet. Jamal Crawford, I love me some Jamal Crawford.
Crawford.
And then some other names. Jarrett Jack in Cleveland, I think, will be big. Klay Thompson and Golden State moving from that starter's role to the bench.
They're going to put Iguodala as a starter?
That's kind of the rumblings I've been getting, the Thunder rumblings I've been getting.
I don't like that.
Yeah, I don't know.
Iggy can't shoot.
He's got to start, though. He's probably their highest paid player. And
it
might
was a
be
bad
their best
move. They paid him too much. Klay Thompson, that's what makes that team great.
Defense, remember? You bring Klay Thompson off the bench for 30 minutes a game. Anyways, we're getting a completely different subject. All right, another true-false. Serge Ibaka will be an all-star this year.
You got me killing these guys today. False.
It's not. I wouldn't necessarily say he's not going to be an all-star. Killing him.
Yeah, you're right.
Tough.
He could still have a great year and not make the team. There's just a lot of great big man power forwards, especially in the West. LaMarcus Aldridge. What's Dirk going to do coming back a full season healthy? Blake Griffin, Tim Duncan. There's just a ton of guys out there. Kevin Love. So he's got his competition. I just don't see it.
Agree with you on that. I think he's maybe on his way into that elite status. I think a lot of it depends on he's looked good on post-ups, in preseason. But, we'll see how he develops, especially the post-up game, the straight defense, not just, weak side block shots. But, I think he's on his way to elite status. That's the only reason why I brought up the question. But I do agree with you. It's just kind of a loaded position in the West. Okay, quickly before we end this, I want to ask a couple league-wide questions. Who's your surprise playoff team this year?
Surprise playoff team, East or West?
Either one.
West, I'm going to go Minnesota. And I don't think if you really, paid attention to the Wolves last year, I don't think that'd be much of a surprise. If they can stay healthy, they're in. Kevin Love, Ricky Rubio, Pekovic, Kevin Martin. I love the additions with Kevin Martin and Corey Brewer. They got some firepower on that team, and I think they can do some damage in the West. I don't think they're title contender by any means, but I really like their roster. In the East, I'm going to go with the Wizards.
Oh, I wonder why you're going to do that.
Hey, I think they got a shot. John Wall, Bradley Beal, Nene, if they can get Okafor healthy at some time before the start of the second half. I really like their roster.
Hey, if you play somewhat decent basketball towards the bottom end of the East, you're gonna slip into one of those 6, 7, 8 slots.
Everybody can't beat Miami.
Yeah, that is true. But I agree with you as far as Minnesota. I do think that's a surprise playoff team. I'm gonna throw out a dark horse who I think, if things go right, I think they can make the playoffs. The Los Angeles Lakers, who everyone's down on.
Yeah.
If Kobe can, come back by maybe December, I think Powell, he had those surgeries, kind of looking a little bit more spry. It seems like, kind of a cloud has been lifted from this team from the Dwight Howard thing, to where last year they had the highest expectations, in the league. Now this year, everyone's killing them, don't even think about them making the playoffs. I just think they're going to come out as kind of high energy, and I could see them, winning enough games early to when Kobe comes back, they kind of make a final push and maybe can slip into the playoffs.
It's going to be tough in the West.
It is.
There's a lot of good teams in the Western Conference.
Mm-hmm. Okay, last one. Most overrated team going into the season. Who's yours?
I'm going to go with Jamal Crawford and the Los Angeles Clippers. Let me explain. I don't think they're an overrated regular season team. I think they're going to be an overrated playoff team. That team is not equipped to win in the playoffs. They've got great offensive players in terms of shooters and Chris Paul orchestrating that thing, but they're not very good defensively. I mean, Jared Dudley he's good defensively. Everybody else pretty much stinks. DeAndre Jordan blocks shots, but nobody else really is good on that team defensively. So they're going to win a lot of games in the regular season, but all this talk about them being a title contender, I just don't see it. They're not built for that.
I have the same thought about the Chicago Bulls.
Oh.
Who I know you are very high on. You're very high on Rose. I'm sure Rose will come back fine. I just think his absence, it started to make people, remember them. I mean, I know they won the conference, the 2 years before he left. Mm-hmm. But in the playoffs, I mean, the Heat kind of disposed of them in 5 games, pretty easily. The Heat have only got better, and besides maybe Jimmy Butler, where have the Bulls?
Point guard?
No, I don't mean from last year, but I mean from when Rose was there and the Heat had beat them in 5 games, pretty easily. Where did he still doesn't have enough offensive help around him where, when you get deep into the playoffs, the Heat throw LeBron on him, throw a bunch of stuff at him, and I just don't think there's enough offensive help elsewhere for them to challenge him.
It's a valid concern, but the way they play defense and when they're on the top of their game, they're top 3 defensive team. You have Derrick Rose who's maturing, and yes, there are questions about whether or not he's going to come back and be what he was. I think he's going to be better. I mean, you can't miss that much time and not come back and be what you were.
I don't really have as when I'm saying I think they're overrated. I'm not concerned about Derrick Rose. I'm kind of concerned still about the offensive
supporting cast
around him.
Valid concern. If LeBron James guards Derrick Rose again in the playoffs, that could be trouble for the Bulls, and they've got to figure something out. But I'm not saying that they're going to beat Miami or that it's a shoe-in that they will, but I'm saying they'll give themselves a chance because of the way they play defense. They'll be able to stop the Heat, and we got to see if the Heat can stop the Bulls. If they put LeBron on Rose, it's going to be fun to watch. But I wouldn't hold it past Rose being able to figure that out this time around.
Yeah, I guess just the that's kind of the regular, what people are saying right now. Are the Heat going to be able to score on the Bulls?
Yeah.
But I mean, from what we've seen in their past playoff matchups, even with Rose, I think going into the season, if those two match up in the playoffs, I think it's kind of heavily favored towards Miami. I think Miami's toughest matchup is Indiana. Indiana's almost a nightmare matchup. Roy Hibbert, kind of inside. That's the kind of guy they seem to really struggle with. That's almost maybe why they took a chance on Greg Oden. I think they're a lot more concerned about Indiana than Chicago, but that's just me.
We'll see. I'm like you said, I'm high on Derrick Rose. I wouldn't rule out anything with that guy. I mean, he's one of the top 3 players in the league, in my opinion.
We will see. We got a little off topic, but that's how it's going to go.
There is no off topic. Thunder Buddies for life.
Thunder Buddies for life. We'll see you. Hopefully, we're going to be doing this every Wednesday during the season. So check back next hump day.